typically going to be that they watch him during the day and I'm taking care of
And you can assure me that none of your brothers at any time will be looking after my kids?
They will not be looking after your kids.
Okay. Because I do have...
I know you have issues with it. I feel you're totally wrong with those issues, to be honest. Totally on.
Why do you think I'm so wrong? Would you think I actually made all that stuff up?
I think maybe you saw something and then you interpreted it the wrong way, is what I think.
And what do you think I saw? Like, how could I...
Just brothers...
Doing what, though?
I don't know. What did you see? You didn't see anything. You thought you heard something, isn't it?
I heard.
Yes.
Max.
It sounded like giving
Shane.
Oral sex. That's what I heard.
You heard. You don't know anything like that. That's just beyond unbelievable in my mind. Totally. That you heard somebody give oral sex to somebody.
And I heard
Max.
in a bit of agony.
You're probably joking. Maybe they were fighting.
What was
Shane.
on drugs then? Absolutely. Was it
I
alcoholic then?
already told you about that. I already told you that they were sharing a tent with Lorraine and her boyfriend at that time. You know? I think you just totally interpreted something wrong. And yeah, sure.
Shane.
Might be a homosexual, that doesn't make him a pedophile.
You don't think he's a pedophile?
Why would I think that? Is there anything to show me that he would be? Would I leave my kids with him? No. But that has nothing to do with being a pedophile. I would never leave my kids with him.
If he's on drugs,
Yeah,
right?
on drugs,
Hard
yeah.
drugs.
Yeah.
Like, what's the last thing you heard he was on?
Coke.
Cocaine? And alcohol?
Alcohol.
Don't you think that messes you up enough that even if he's the greatest guy in the world, that he's capable? What was his own wife accused him of having homosexual relationships, right?
I said he may be a homosexual. That doesn't necessarily mean he's a pedophile.
And his own wife has a restraining order on him.
Because he beat her up.
Does he not have, is he allowed to see his kids by himself?
No. Because he has anger issues.
When was that anyways?
Have they been separated?
No, when did that thing I accused
Shane.
of doing? That was...
Years ago. It's probably about 10 years.
So how old is
Max.
Ben?
10.
10 years old?
10. 20.
When that happened, he was younger than 20.
20. He's 30 years old. And Lorraine was dating Ross. And her oldest kid is, well, maybe even less than that. Maybe he's even older than that. Because her kid right now, Greg, is going to be 8.
So it was more like...
So, and she met him then 9 years. Yeah, 9 years. Yeah, so he was 20.
Max.
Wasn't 20.
He was 20.
When we went camping that
Yes,
time,
20.
he was
He
not
was.
20.
Because Lorraine went with that guy, Ross.
Yeah,
And she was dating him at that time. She only dated him for a year.
yeah.
So,
And that was a couple years prior to her getting married, was it not?
just a year.
A year?
She broke up with this guy, we were just talking about it the other day. She broke up with him in August, and she mentioned Greg in November. So,
Max.
he was 20.
He wasn't 20 years old.
Ask him yourself.
When we went camping,
Yeah.
he was a kid. I'm
20
trying to think.
years old.
Maybe
Shane.
he was more like 20 years old.
No, I didn't even meet you.
Shane.
I wouldn't have been 20. I didn't even meet you till late 20s. So there's no way.
Well, I keep mentioning this over and over again.
I keep telling you, there's no way I would ever leave my kids with
Shane.
never.
Or,
Max.
Not by himself.
but you leave him with
Max.
Amy.
If they were both there, yes.
Even though for the last...
I have never left them alone with
Max.
Amy, so it probably would never come up.
But the thing I find amazing is I've been accusing
Shane.
of
I know. And I've always...
abusing
Max.
right? For years.
Yeah,
you've always poo-pooed it because you don't think your family would ever be capable of something like that. Even though
Shane.
beat his own wife,
Yeah.
has been accused by his own wife of having homosexual relationships and cheating on her
Yeah.
and doing drugs.
Yeah. I know all about that. I agree with all of that.
But you think that your own husband, and I've been accusing him from the day it happened, which
Max.
was way younger than 20 years old. I know that because I remember driving with him
Max.
after that, and he was like a child. He had to be about 16 years old.
Nope. Couldn't have. I wouldn't have met you then. I wouldn't have even known you then if he was 16.
When we met, how old was
Max.
How old were you when I met you?
Well, we met in about 92, right?
Maybe 92. 3.
Well, 93 is when we moved in together. You had your own place for a while. So we met in 92. And it was only a few years later that we went camping. Because we were still living in the apartment, right? Well, think about it. We weren't living in this house.
I know. Well, how many years ago was that then?
Well, that was at least, we've been here for 11 years, right?
So it's 17 years ago.
Yeah, and we only went camping a few years after we met. So you got the dates wrong.
Max.
Was way younger than 20 when that happened. Well, we've been in this house for 11, right? If we've known each other since 92.
I don't think it's been 92.
Well, it has been because I got paperwork. It says 92 we met. 93 we moved in together, right?
What kind of paperwork do you have?
Look on that paperwork I gave you. It says 93 we moved in together. 95 we got married.
Where are you getting that information?
What? 95 we got married, right?
Yeah.
92 we met. 93 we moved in together. So, and we had our other place for what, about 8 years? Well, if we met in 93, we got our place in 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000. We were there about 6 years, I guess.
Max.
Because how old now?
30.
30. So we've been here for 11. And you know we didn't go camping when we were living in this house, right? So it's at least 11 years ago, right? And 11 years ago, he was 19, right? And it wasn't, we didn't go camping just before we moved in here. It was at least 5 years prior to us moving in here that we went camping.
I think you're pushing it way back. Because we went with that guy that's Lorraine's was boyfriend before.
She had a couple boyfriends. Why do you always...
Because that's the one that I remember.
Well, what about referring to where we lived? Did we go camping when we lived here?
Max. Shane.
I don't know where we live.
Come on.
Jezebeth.
I mean, you got to at least try, because you know, if you don't try to,
full day already.
if you, what I'm seeing is that you're just trying to bury it all.
No, I'm not trying to bury it. I really don't believe that you can actually just hear somebody give oral sex to somebody. I mean, come on.
Well, I believe I heard more than just oral sex too.
Well, I mean, but you can't prove it. There's no proof for that. You know?
Doesn't it bother you that
You've been
harping,
accusing about me about a lot of things too.
Ben.
What have I been accused you about?
You know, just the way you talk to me. Don't you ever want to be so that you could be a part of his, like when his birthday
This is something
like that?
okay. So
You're just pushing things.
this is something way more serious though, right? This is about my children being sexually abused by a pedophile. You know, if
Shane.
There is no pedophile.
If
Shane.
the Catholics have been bearing it for years.
Jezebeth.
You know that. Do you think they're all
about Catholics? It's everything. It's Boy Scouts, for God's sake.
okay? So it's a lot of different things.
That's
but
right.
this hits home for
You're
me.
safe.
This hits home for me because now I'm trusting my kids across town. You said
Max.
would be not living there. Now apparently he's living there.
my mom told me that people moved out upstairs, they're going to move in. I thought they'd go right away. So they're doing some work on there.
But
so what do you want me
this
to
is
do?
just an issue that I'm trying to hammer home. I've been worried about
Max. Max.
safety. Now he's older.
Max.
His well-being, because if
Shane.
molested,
Max.
there's a high probability, even if he's the nicest guy in the world, there's a high probability that he will do the same thing to somebody else. And I'm very concerned about that. And I'm very concerned about that you choose not to remember the dates based on your cousin having a boyfriend when you know that we've lived here for 11 years and it was way beyond us living here.
I'm going to find out then, aren't I?
Well, I mean, if you just help me do the math, you would see
I'm going to
he was
think
about 15 years
I'm
old.
going to find out.
He was about 15 years old when it happened. And you're trying to tell me he's 20, so that just means that you're trying to bury.
I'm not trying to bury it just because my memory says it. I thought he was in his 20s. I'm not trying to bury it.
Do you think
Shane.
would have been able to molest him when he was 20 years old? He was a big kid
That's
at 20.
probably why I never thought that he could do it. I really don't think that would have ever happened. And I've always said that to you.
And I was disappointed that your reaction was not being that concerned about it. Even back in the years ago,
What am I going to do with it? What am I going to do?
you could have approached your young brother and said, "Are you okay? Is everything okay downstairs when you're living with
Max. Shane. Max.
we're living in that basement? You don't know what was going on. You don't know how he was being abused. Did you ever go to
Max.
and say, is everything okay? I'm your big sister. You can tell me."
No, I never did.
Don't you think you should have?
That's hindsight, yeah?
Well,
Yeah, you're probably
if I made mention of that, right?
You actually said you were going to go talk to him, if you remember correctly.
Yeah, and I chickened out, but
Okay,
I wasn't his
Okay, well,
I wasn't
you know
his
what?
older sister.
I didn't do anything, okay? I didn't deal with it. Because I probably at that point didn't want to.
So, but my concern is what happens when one of my children are abused in that house.
You know what? You look at percentages, I would never let anything like that happen to my children. Never. Don't you even go that route.
But
if
okay,
you look
but
at the
what-
percentages, really, he has a more chance of being abused in school than he would at my family's place. I don't care what you have it in for my family. You really do. The way that you talk to me, crouch and always stubbornness and stuff like that. You're just as stubborn.
That is a different issue.
That is not.
That is a different issue than child abuse. Child abuse is a very, very serious thing as far as I'm concerned.
You know what? Ben. I'm not a moron. God, do you think I'd ever want that to happen to my kids? Do you really think I would?
Okay, I'm asking you something. Could you ever
Max.
talk about it now? And just say, when you were living downstairs with
Shane.
did anything ever happen? Could you talk to him about it now?
That'd be the right timing, yeah, probably could.
Because he might need some kind of counseling, if he was abused. People doing drugs do bad things. And
Shane. Max.
you have to admit, was always very young for his age. Was he not? He was always childlike.
Well, he's got a good head on his shoulder now.
Yeah, but I just hope he's not bearing anything. He's not repressing anything.
Well, what is he going to say to me? He's going to say no.
Well, that's what I'm concerned, is your family, I find, doesn't seem to talk. Even when I left that message for your dad. He didn't even phone me and say, bugger off or anything.
Well,
He
it's
just,
probably a sarcastic one.
it was, but he could
Yeah.
at least phoned and
Why?
said,
I told him not to get involved.
did you?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm worried about. What happens if you suspect that
Max.
or
Shane.
is abusing, or someone else in your family is abusing? Are you going to just say, don't get involved?
No.
You're not going to tell me?
My God, no. You mean if I found out that one of them was going to...
If you even suspected they were being abused.
No, I would confront it, first of all.
You wouldn't tell me first?
I don't know what the circumstances, but I wouldn't want him there if that would be the case. I would never put my kids in jeopardy.
Well, you seen how much it bothered me, 15 or so years ago when I first brought this up. You know, it was driving me nuts, right?
Yes.
And I have every intention of making things peaceful and have no intention of bringing this up just for the sake of bringing this up. This is a serious concern of mine.
Of course it's serious. I'm not making light of it.
Did you ever tell Lorraine or anything? Ask her if any about that episode?
No, I would never. How would she know?
Oh, she was camped there too. What was her boyfriend's name?
That was Ross. Wasn't he the same guy that we went whitewater rafting with?
I think so, yeah.
Was it that camping trip or another time?
That was the lake. Remember I cut down those...
This is where the one we went to when Warren showed up, wasn't it? Isn't it like Dot Lake or something?
That's right, it was Dot Lake. Exactly.
Right? There's a big slant there, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
I don't think Warren was there. Do you know who was there? My friend, Doug.
I don't remember Doug, but I remember Warren.
Don't remember Doug was there?
No.
You remembered before, when we had a conversation before, you remembered Doug was there.
No, you said Doug was there. I said Warren was there. Well, how did Doug get there?
We drove him.
I think you're getting mixed up with a different time that we went.
We only went to Dot Lake once with your cousin. How many times did we go camping with your cousin, Lorraine? It was only the one time we ever went camping with her.
No, we went with Greg.
That's what I mean. Back in those days, though, we only went camping with her once.
I don't know. I mean, what do you want me to say? You know?
I want my children protected from that. That's all I want.
Who doesn't? I don't know how you can stand there and say that I wouldn't want the same thing for them.
Well, I just asked you if you suspected something happened, even suspected, would you confront me? And you said under certain circumstances.
No, I didn't say that.
So if you even suspected anything was happening, would you tell me right away? Long time to answer that.
Well, I'm thinking before I'm speaking now. Yeah. I was putting my pros and cons, and yeah, I would, because you have a right to know. Yes.
Well, I'm glad you feel that way. I'd hate for you to stall when you thought something was maybe happening to protect the integrity or the face of your family, and just let something go on like that. I think that's why you've never confronted
Max. Shane.
Because you don't want to embarrass the family with something like that.
You don't think our family's been enough embarrassed with
Shane?
I don't give a shit what they think.
But what about
Max?
What about
Max?
So it wouldn't be an embarrassment for him.
Sure it would.
No, it wouldn't.
If he was being molested.
Well, that's because he was young. That would be the only thing, and it wouldn't be anything. It would be, maybe it would be embarrassing for him, but it wouldn't be for anybody else who would look down upon him because of that.
No, I don't think so.
No. And everybody knows about
Shane.
anyways.
Does he still go to all these breakfasts and stuff?
Sometimes.
Does he touch the kids at all?
He might.
And I told you I had a big problem with that, didn't I?
I know, and what did I tell you with that?
What? I don't remember.
I said,
Shane.
I will not be left alone with my children. What am I supposed to do? I told you that, and you said that. You said, oh, you tell him, don't touch my kids. Most times they run away from him anyways.
He's a drug addict, a homosexual, and I am accusing him of being a pedophile, and I have been for 15 years, and you think it's a problem when I tell you that I don't want him touching my children at all, not even one finger on my children, and you think I'm wrong to say that?
Yes.
I'll say that one more time.
Shane.
Has been doing cocaine, alcohol,
Yes.
has beat his own wife,
Yes.
cannot see his own children unsupervised,
Yes. That is why I would never
and I've been
leave him alone.
accusing him of being a pedophile for 15 years now, a pedophile towards
Max.
that I know of, and I asked...
Don't know of, so don't say you know of. You assume you don't know. Okay?
I seen shadows through the tent, and I heard
Max.
crying, and I know what sex sounds like, and I know what probably unwanted sex sounds like, and that is what I heard, and that is what I've been accusing him for that many years. And all I ask is that
Shane.
is told never to touch my kid, and you have a problem with that?
Yes.
And why do you have a problem with that?
Because you are just saying all these things that you're not even for sure about. You don't know for sure. You assume it.
What? What part? The drugs?
No, the pedophile.
Yeah, everything else is true though, isn't it?
So what do you think he's doing?
What?
What do you think he's doing?
What they do is they get close to a kid and they build a trust.
Well, they're not going to build a trust.
How do you know?
Because I've said to them, don't go near him.
Said to who?
Our oldest son.
But what about
Max.
What about...
Max.
Max.
okay?
Well, I've never said that to them, don't go near him.
Max.
Never.
Yeah, well, that's what's gonna. I really have a serious concern. And now, am I going to be allowed to see my kids when they're living in East Vancouver? Is it going to be comfortable for me to go over and get them? It hasn't been very comfortable here.
That's because you've prevented that from being comfortable.
Then.
You did that yourself.
So
You should have left them stay out of it.
Now, whatever you think, and am I going to have a problem seeing my children in East Vancouver?
As long as you just go over there and bring your children wherever you want to and do not say a word about anything, then you will, yes. But if you're going to vent to them or bring up any issues, then you're going to have a problem, yes. Does that make sense to you?